Okay, so we have our humerus over here. This one so happens to be a left humerus. This is going to be your head of the humerus. This is going to be the part that attaches into the glenoid cavity of the scapula. The head. If you look a little laterally, you can kind of see this bony structure right here. This is going to be called the greater tubercle. Greater tubercle. It's away from the head, if that makes sense. So it's away from the head. Versus the lesser tubercle, which is this structure over here. It may look a little bit bigger in some models, but this is the lesser tubercle. Okay. And in between, we have what's called the intertubercular sulcus, or intertubercular groove, or bicipital groove. I've heard all three terms used before. Okay. We have a neck over here. We asked Dr. Smith, and he basically said the surgical and the anatomical neck are, redundant. They're kind of the same thing, but it's still good to know. The neck. Okay. If we go a little bit down more to the actual articulating parts of the humerus, we can see the trochlea here and the capitulum here. The way I always remembered it is that this portion, the trochlea, it has a more pointy pronunciation, the trochlea, and it's more pointy in structure. That's how I memorized it. But trochlea is also more medial. It's closer to the head. Okay, so trochlea is medially. That's where the ulna is going to articulate. Okay, here we have the the capitulum. Capitulum. So trochlea and capitulum. Trochlea and capitulum. Okay. Above the articulating stuff right here, we have two fossas we have to know about. The first one, the bigger one, right above the trochlea, is the coronoid fossa. Coronoid fossa. And here, this is going to be the radial fossa. Radial fossa. Okay. On the sides, we actually have two epicondyles that you can feel. We have the medial epicondyle, which is primarily if you go to your elbow and you can go to your pinky, you can actually palpate it a little bit. And here, you have the lateral epicondyle, near where the radial fossa is. Okay. If we flip it over posteriorly, you can still kind of see the trochlea a little bit. But the main thing you want to keep an eye out for is this fossa right here, the olecranon fossa. Olecranon fossa. Okay, and you can still see the medial and lateral epicondyles. Okay. Past that, the main things we want to keep an eye out for, if we go above, you can see it more over here, these little ridges right here. You can kind of see, especially on this side, on the medial side. We have a medial and a lateral supracondylar ridge. Supracondylar for superior to the condyles, which are these guys up here. Supracondylar ridge and lateral supracondylar ridge. Okay. If we look, now it's going to be very hard to see on here, but they're going to be hard to see on most models. If you look down here, you can kind of see like a impression here. It's going to go down here this way. This is going to be the radial groove. Radial groove. And that's where the radial nerve and artery are going to be. Okay, so if you damage there, you could damage some of the extensors on your arm. If we go down over here, medially, I think it's to the side over, I believe it's going to be this guy over here, this little groove. I think maybe you can see it like down over here next to the trochlea, near the medial epicondyle. It's going to be the ulnar notch or ulnar groove. And if you hurt that area, it's going to damage your funny bones. I'm sure everyone's done that before. Okay, if we look right below our greater and lesser tubercles, we can kind of see some very faint bony markings like right here and right here. It's very, very faint. Those are going to be the crests for the greater and lesser tubercles. Okay? If we kind of flip it over here, we can kind of see this bony land marking right here. It's going to be the deltoid tubercle. Deltoid tubercle. Okay? And finally, if we look at the capitulum and the trochlea, so capitulum and trochlea, there is another structure that we have to know. It's called the capitulotrochlear groove. So if we look, it's supposed to be right approximately here, because this capitulum's a little messed up, but it's supposed to be like a groove like right here. It's between the trochlea and the capitulum, but this model just happens to be a little messed up. But it's like a groove right in between the capitulum and the trochlea. Okay?